Well, good afternoon. If it's Mondays, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, it's time for Mondays with Michael live, wherever you're watching this. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, give us a subscribe, give us a like, give us a follow. We love your feedback on future sessions. But today's session is a bit unique. I'm not going to talk about skills, leadership teams, supervisors. We're going to talk about ATD. The ATD Conference this past May, a couple weeks ago, in New Orleans. I'm going to give you my feedback, my thoughts, um, my interpretation, if you will, of the actual conference itself, some of the sessions, things I liked, things I didn't like. You're going to get the full boat here right now this afternoon. So let's start. So the conference was held in New Orleans. So I got my notes. I'm going to go back through my notes. So it was at the New Orleans Convention Center. If you've been to New Orleans Convention Center, it's a great location. Lots of hotels really close by. Many of us stay literally a block away. My hotel was literally across the street from the convention center. So it was a really, really good location. New Orleans is actually a great city to be in. It was fairly warm for those of us coming from the Northeast who've been in cold and rain. It was a little humid, so it was nice to be in warm weather. So the building was great. The facility was well kept. I would say just from a building and amenities perspective, the Wi-Fi in the actual convention center was spotty. It was spotty for those of us participating, for speakers, it was spotty. It was also spotty for the vendors in the expo center. So I'm not sure why it was spotty. Sometimes these things are, great Wi-Fi, sometimes not so much. This was on the not so much side. So that would be something I was there. Though the city was great, New Orleans was great. I only went to Bourbon Street once. I'll tell you a little about that in a second. But there were folks in and out of Bourbon Street the whole time we were there, so it was a lot of fun. So for me this year, I have not been to the ATD conference since pre-COVID. So I've been to about 20 conferences over the years. I've been a member for about 30 years, but I haven't been to the conference since COVID. I'll tell you more about that. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But I did sign up this year for the VIP package. So it was an extra $295 on top of your early bird membership to become this VIP. And what that meant was, I really wasn't sure at the time, but this is how it played out. So the VIPs had their own double break room, if you will, similar to the speaker ready room. So I have been a speaker in the past, so the speakers have a place they can go. The VIP folks had a place they could go. There were snacks, there was coffee, and place to recharge, replug, and kind of get away from the noise. And so it was great. They also did a reception for the VIP participants. One evening, they did an alcohol reception, wine and beer, some snacks. So we got to meet some of the other VIPs. So the networking there was really good. Got to meet some other folks. So that was part of the VIP package. The other part of the VIP package, which I thought was really cool, was that there was a VIP line to the general session each time there was a general session. So for the 3 general sessions, I'll tell you about them in a bit, we had the special line. We got in about 7-8 minutes early before the general population, and we got seating in the first couple of rows, not in the front center, but really off to the first section off to the center. But we were like in the second, third row for every keynote presentation, which was really cool. So if you're thinking about coming next year and thinking about the extra $295, you will get that. And then of course you got the network night ticket, which was $100. So I would have bought that anyway. So for me, it was like a $150 addition to my general registration. So for $295, it was fine, or $250, it was fine. So I would recommend you getting that. So as far as the expo goes, let me talk a little about that. So Wiley this year decided to be a premier sponsor. So as you know, we represent Wiley, Everything Disc, and the 5 behaviors. So we represent Wiley, and they decided to be a premier sponsor this year, which in part encouraged me to go back. So for those of us in the field, those of us at the high level for partners, we've been trying to get Wiley to come back for a little bit. So we convinced them to come back. They took a solid location in the trade show, and they took a premier sponsorship on the floor. And during the general sessions, when they were listing the premier sponsors, Adobe, LinkedIn Learning, Cornerstone, everything this from Wiley was up there on the screen in front of 10,000 people. So that was really cool to see. So really liked Wiley coming back in the booth. They had Catalyst demos. They had some live sessions. They had the selfie booth, which is kind of cool. You got to put your disc profile up in a selfie. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see I posted that. They had a session from Dr. Mark Sculler, their chief research director, did a session, 30-minute session. in the expo at one of the trade show areas, and it probably had 75 people there. And he did a 30-minute session on managing change using the DISC model, understanding managing change at the individual level, which was really well attended, really, really well done. So I appreciated them being there. Wiley also hosted a vendor sponsor partner event on Bourbon Street. It was a reception after Monday night's events were all done. It was a great session. It was really well attended, a great reception, very well attended. I'd probably say 50 plus people were there. For us partners, we got to see other partners which were there, which was really great. We got to bring our clients, which was also really great. And it was also good to see the staff. We don't interact with the staff as much as we used to, so it was really good to interact with the staff. So we were already on Bourbon Street. A group of us afterwards went out to dinner on Bourbon Street, had some snacks and some cocktails. It was a lot of fun just to be on Bourbon Street because Bourbon Street is Bourbon Street. It was a lot of fun. So we did that on Monday night. So some feedback on the keynote. So we had Matthew McConaughey, Daniel Pink, and Vanessa Williams. So each of them had a really good message. We had a professional moderator, facilitator for the conference. She did a really great job asking good questions. For Matthew, it was more about teamwork and taking direction from a director, and he gave some really good insights and tips on how he works through that process. Daniel Pink gave us 5 areas to work on. If you follow Daniel, you can get those on his website, but he was really, really good, dynamic. And Vanessa was really about recovery, just general recovery for her sport, but recovery in general, giving yourself some downtime to recover, which is really, really important, and how to work with a coach. She gave some really good tips on how to work with a coach, whether you are a coach or working with a coach, which is really, really great. One of the neat things that Dan was sharing with us was have a to-do list, but have a to-don't list. So I thought that was really cool. Have a to-don't list. And Matthew said that there's only one no, but there are many ways to yes, which I thought was also very, very, very cool. Okay, so as far as the general sessions went, the general sessions were always really well attended and very well run. I would say the big difference in just sessions this year than when I went 5 years ago, no surprise, a lot of QR codes up on the screen. QR codes for handouts, for more information, for tips. So there were a lot of QR codes within the sessions themselves. Many of the sessions I went to were really well attended. One of the sessions I went to, one of the sessions I tend to go to regularly was from Blanchard. I'm a leadership trainer, leadership coach. Blanchard and his son gave an hour that was just really, really great. Very well done. If you've ever seen both of them in the room, really, really well done. They had some videos of Ken when he was younger, also some outtakes that was really well attended. Also got to go to a couple of sessions from my colleagues who have gotten to a place in their business where they tend to teach at every conference. It was great to see them. It was great to see them present. I was glad to be in there to support them. For me, the whole signing of the book, the ATD's consultant book. Thank you to Elaine for gathering us all together. But on Tuesday night, we did a book signing. So it was my first book signing ever. I've never actually done this before. So I have a chapter of the book. So we had, I would say, about 20 of us who had written chapters in the bookstore, signing books. There were actually a lot more consultants coming to me kind of like, so where do I start? So I got this feeling that there's this population of ATD members who are internal, who are waiting to jump out. I think the book is going to give them a lot of tools and tips to do that. My hope is that we continue to have these types of sessions at the conference. There were some sessions around being a consultant. I hope that ATD continues to move that going forward. Okay, so those are the things I did. Well, of course, on top of all that, I got to see all my friends I haven't seen in like 5 years. So that was great. Got to see my friends, got to make new friends, got to exchange LinkedIn codes, got some new friends that are hopefully we're all following each other again. But it was great just to reconnect with people I just haven't really seen in 4 or 5 years. So some things that were not so great. So I talked about the Wi-Fi. That wasn't so great. So for me, a couple of things that weren't so great about the conference that I thought ATD should think about. One was, and for me, this is more of a personal thing. There were really 2 sessions I go to every year at the conference. One was from Ken Blanchard, and the second one every year I go to was from Bob Pike. So Ken is the leadership coach and trainer. For Bob, he's the trainer's trainer. So since I'm still in the classroom, I would go to his session every year just to get more tips, to revalidate tips in the classroom. And as we all know, Bob passed last fall, last October, Bob passed. I thought they would do something at the conference for him. I know that there are other conferences that have done something in recognition of Bob and what he's done for the industry, and how he's helped all these trainers all these years. ATD chose not to go down that road. I'm not sure why. I'm sure somebody had to make that decision, but I was a little disappointed on a personal level that they didn't recognize Bob for his years of work with the society. The other thing I'm kind of disappointed with, and this is again just a Michael thing. Some of you know I served as a public policy consultant to ATD, to the society, for 8 years. So for 8 years, I brought members up to Capitol Hill to talk to their staff, to talk to their staff from their constituents, to the member of Congress. Some of them got to meet the member of Congress. Most of them got to talk to staff. We would do this with chapter leaders, and we'd do it during the conference when ATD was in DC. We'd bring them up to Capitol Hill. We also advocated on good public policy around workforce development. We encouraged our members to join state boards, workforce boards, local workforce boards. I had the pleasure of serving on the state workforce board here in Virginia. I was also vice chair of my local workforce board here in Northern Virginia. So we were trying to bring our members, to those boards. So at the conference for about 8 or 9 years, I would do a session each year on public policy, mostly around engagement in public workforce boards, state workforce boards, going after state grants and federal grants for training. And we also would have somebody from the Department of Labor in the Career One Stop, in the Career Center, with a virtual Career One Stop. So our members knew what was available to them within the public workforce system. There was really none of that this year. There was no public policy. I'm not sure if ATD is going to go down that public policy road again. It's hard to imagine an association in the DC market not engaged in public policy up on Capitol Hill. But that's where they are today. That all said, next year's conference, write it down, the next May, is going to be in DC. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I did have one conversation with a board member at Network Night, which was a lot of fun, which is at the Mardi Gras World, right down the street from the convention center. And Network Night's great. For those who've been, Network Night is drinking, eating, and dancing. It's just a really, really good time. But I did have a conversation with one of the new board members, and hopefully there may be some public policy things coming down the pipe. That all said, I plan to be at ATD 25 in DC. It's literally down the street for me. I'll hang out downtown. And Wiley has agreed to be a premier sponsor again next year, so they'll be on the trade show floor. So we'll bring clients and such to the booth. But that's kind of where we're at. So I had a great time. It is a bit pricey to go. I mean, there's the airfare, hotel, registration. Then you got to eat while you're there. But for me, it's worth it. For me, it's worth it to stay connected to the association. I kind of learn best practices. I go to a lot of sessions to learn best practices. So my tracks are 2. 1, to learn what best practices in organizations, and 2, I'm still in the classroom. So I need to pick up some more tips as far as facilitation and training, whether that's in the classroom or virtually. And thank you, Cindy, for your session. So that all said, hope if you are going to conference next year, send me a message. Let me know. Maybe we can meet up. I meet up with some folks from time to time. So let's do that. Let's get together. That is my session today. This is Mondays with Michael Live. Next session, we'll go back to leadership. We're going to do some leadership stuff over the course of June, and then we'll take the summer off. So we'll be off for the summer, and we'll come back in September. But thanks for hanging out. If you're watching this post session, give me some feedback. See you in our next session. Take care.